Absence is often misunderstood in relationships, whether personal or professional. We tend to associate love and connection with constant presence, with always being available to support, comfort, or entertain. But what we don't realize is that presence can sometimes become so familiar that it loses its impact. Think about the relationships in your life. When someone is always there, always saying yes, always within reach, it's easy to take their presence for granted. The human brain adapts to repetition. We stop noticing what we think will always be there. It's not because we care less, but because we assume the constant presence is a given. Absence, however, creates contrast. It disrupts the flow of the expected and wakes us up to what truly matters. It invites people to pause, to reflect on what you mean to them, and to recognize the value you bring. It's in the spaces we leave behind that people begin to notice the unique light we carry, the irreplaceable energy we contribute. This is not about manipulation or testing people's devotion. It's about understanding that relationships, like any meaningful connection, need moments of recalibration. It's in the quiet of your absence that others come to appreciate the depth of your presence. Setting boundaries is one of the most powerful acts of self-respect we can practice, yet it's also one of the hardest. We often feel an internal conflict when it comes to saying no or drawing a line. It can feel like we're disappointing someone or withholding love, but in reality, boundaries are an act of care not just for ourselves, but for others too. When you set a boundary, you're telling the world, this is where I end and where you begin. It's a way of honoring your own needs and protecting your energy so that what you give to others comes from a place of abundance rather than depletion. Without boundaries, relationships can become unbalanced, leaving one person overextended and the other unknowingly dependent on that sacrifice. Boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges to healthier connections. They allow us to interact with others in a way that's sustainable, authentic, and free of resentment. When you say, I can't do this right now, or I need some time for myself, you're not rejecting someone, you're showing them that you value your relationship enough to ensure it's built on mutual respect. But boundaries require clarity and courage. Clarity to understand what you need, what drains you, and what replenishes you. Courage to communicate those needs, even when it feels uncomfortable. The truth is, not everyone will understand or appreciate your boundaries immediately, especially if they've benefited from you not having them. There's a deeply ingrained belief that being constantly available is a measure of our love, commitment, or worthiness in relationships. We equate accessibility with devotion and self-sacrifice with strength. This myth convinces us that saying yes to every request, answering every call, or always being first to show up is the ultimate proof of our value. But the truth is, constant availability doesn't create stronger connections, it often erodes them. When we make ourselves perpetually accessible, we unintentionally diminish the significance of our presence. It's human nature to value what feels special or rare. And when you're always there, your presence can begin to feel expected rather than cherished. Constant availability can breed dependency instead of partnership, where others come to rely on you without recognizing the effort or energy it takes to be so present. Beyond relationships, this myth takes a toll on our personal well-being. It leads to burnout, resentment, and a loss of identity as we begin to measure our worth through the lens of how much we can give or how often we can be there for others. It can also leave us feeling invisible because in our effort to show up for everyone else, we forget to show up for ourselves. The reality is that relationships thrive not on endless availability, but on meaningful presence. Being present is about the quality of your interactions, not the quantity. It's about showing up with intention, energy, and authenticity, rather than out of obligation or fear of letting someone down. Self-worth is the internal compass that guides how we navigate relationships, set priorities, and make decisions. It's not about arrogance or self-importance, but about recognizing and honoring your inherent value, regardless of external validation. When we understand our worth, we stop seeking approval from others as our primary source of fulfillment and instead operate from a place of self-respect and authenticity. Without a strong sense of self-worth, it's easy to fall into patterns of overcompensation, saying yes when we mean no, stretching ourselves too thin, or tolerating situations that undermine our well-being. We start to define ourselves by what we can do for others, believing that our value is tied to our utility. But this way of living leaves us drained, disconnected from our true selves, and constantly chasing a sense of belonging that can only come from within. When self-worth becomes your compass, it shifts how you move through the world. You begin to make choices that align with your values rather than ones dictated by fear or the need for validation. You're more likely to set boundaries, protect your energy, and surround yourself with people and experiences that uplift you. Self-worth allows you to step into relationships as a whole person, not as someone looking to be completed or fixed. This compass also helps you discern between relationships that nurture you and those that deplete you. It enables you to see that your time, energy, and presence are gifts, not obligations, and that sharing them with others should feel reciprocal, not one-sided. By following the guidance of self-worth, you create a life where your connections are built on mutual respect and genuine care, rather than on the fear of being unworthy or unlovable. Vulnerability is often misunderstood as a weakness, something to avoid or mask in a world that rewards strength and self-sufficiency. Yet it is one of the most courageous and transformative aspects of being human. Vulnerability is the willingness to be seen as you truly are without pretense or armor, and to risk uncertainty, emotional exposure, and even rejection for the sake of deeper connection. In relationships, vulnerability is the foundation upon which trust and authenticity are built. When you allow yourself to be open, to share your fears, hopes, and imperfections, you invite others to do the same. It creates a space where connection becomes real, not based on an image or expectation, but on mutual understanding and empathy. However, being vulnerable isn't without risk. It means stepping into the unknown, unsure of how others will respond, and trusting that your worth isn't defined by their reactions. Vulnerability also requires immense strength because it asks us to confront our own fears of inadequacy. It challenges the internal narratives that tell us we're not good enough, smart enough, or lovable enough. In choosing to be vulnerable, we reclaim our power by refusing to let fear dictate our actions or limit our connections. It's an act of self-acceptance, a declaration that you are worthy of being seen, flaws and all. But vulnerability isn't just about sharing, it's about listening too. When someone else is vulnerable with you, it's an invitation to show up with compassion and presence. It's a reminder that relationships are reciprocal, and that the courage it takes to be vulnerable deserves to be met with kindness and respect. In moments of vulnerability, you come face to face with the rawness of what it means to be human. It's not polished or perfect, but it's honest, and it's where the most profound connections are forged. Life is a series of fleeting moments, each one unique, each one unrepeatable. Yet in the rush of daily routines and the distractions that pull us in every direction, it's easy to let these moments slip by unnoticed. Cherishing the moments isn't just about being present, it's about valuing the ordinary as extraordinary and recognizing the beauty in the everyday connections and experiences that make life meaningful. When you cherish the moments, you approach life with a sense of gratitude. A shared laugh with a friend, a quiet walk in the evening, a heartfelt conversation, these aren't insignificant. They are the fabric of a fulfilling life. Taking the time to fully experience these instances without rushing through them or letting your mind wander to what's next transforms them from mere blips in time to cherished memories. In relationships, cherishing the moments means appreciating the people in your life while they're there, not waiting until their absence to realize their importance. It's about pausing to express gratitude, to look into someone's eyes and let them know they matter, and to savor the connection that exists in that shared space. It requires slowing down and prioritizing presence over perfection, allowing yourself to be fully engaged without worrying about getting everything right. Cherishing the moments also means embracing imperfection. Not every interaction will be ideal and not every day will feel extraordinary. But within the messiness of life, there's always something to hold onto a lesson, a connection, a spark of joy. It's about shifting your focus from what's missing to what's already there, finding fulfillment in what is rather than chasing what could be. When you take the time to cherish the moments, you cultivate a deeper awareness of life's richness. You begin to see that even the simplest experiences hold meaning, and that every moment, no matter how small, is an opportunity to connect, to love, and to truly love. And in a world that often demands more time, more presence, more availability, choosing to step back can feel like an act of rebellion. But it's in that space, that deliberate pause, where the most profound connections are nurtured. Letting others miss you isn't about creating distance for the sake of it, it's about honoring yourself and allowing relationships to grow in depth and appreciation. When you embrace the power of absence, you give others the opportunity to value your presence. By setting boundaries, you preserve your energy and ensure your connections are grounded in mutual respect. Letting go of the myth of constant availability allows you to show up with intention and authenticity. Following your self-worth as a compass ensures that your time and energy are invested in ways that align with your true value. Vulnerability deepens those connections by fostering trust and authenticity. And when you cherish the moments, you find joy and meaning in every interaction, no matter how big or small. So step back when you need to, protect your energy, value your presence, because the gift of being missed isn't just about others, it's about creating a life that's rich with balance, respect, and love, both for yourself and the people who truly matter.